I'd like to call to order the 2:30 session of the 1 o'clock work session today. Appreciate everyone being here, coming out in this weather that we've had. Glad that everyone is safe and sound. The first item on our agenda for today, are there any special presentations or public comments anyone would like to make during the work session? If so, please come to the podium and state your name and address. Hearing none, we'll go to the city manager report. Joe, if you're ready.
Mr. Vice Mayor and council members, today is going to be abbreviated. We had the weather over the weekend, and once again our public safety teams and public works performed very well. It probably wasn't as stressful as what we thought. There were some trees that came down because of the rain, and we were out doing stuff, and we also did some salting of some bridges and some other slick spots. But overall, I think that we braved the weather, and now we just have to wait for, I think they're saying snow next weekend again, so that's always enjoyable. Want to start off and talk about what's coming in the future. At the next meeting, we're going to do a deep dive into the 3rd Street corridor. We're preparing to have a grant proposal that will be before you, that will connect into the bridge that we have, and we've had, I think, 4 meetings or so with TDOT on that, and I think that they feel are very comfortable with where we're at, and so at the next meeting we'll go from A to Z on all of those different elements of that project, and all the different things that are going on, and then we also have the budget starting to. We have the budget schedule that was put out this last week, and we'll make sure you get a copy of that. That will finish the budget come the first meeting in June. Internally, we're already beginning the formulations for that and getting ready to go. And outside of it being very cold out, I don't have any other items or any questions that you have on any projects or anything going on in the city before I get to the agenda.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Pybus? If not, Joe, please proceed.
Thank you. So on the agenda today, we have 3 public hearings. The first public hearing is to hear public comments concerning a request by Steve and Linda Williams for consideration of zoning the 89 acres located at Holloway Road. I think that's behind where the new racetrack is, back in that direction. It was went through the planning commission. There was some decent amount of conversation on this, and Robert will go through those issues when we get to them. Item B is to hear a public hearing on multiple property owners to abandon the right-of-way line between Parker Street and Trunk Street. If you haven't looked at your map, the old laundromat that sits at the corner of Parker and 2nd Street is that there's next to that there's an old unabandoned right-of-way that goes through there. The new owner of that facility is requesting to clean that up. Right now, there's like an 8-foot brick wall that goes right down the middle of that, so that's not helpful. So this abandonment would just allow that 50% of the property on both sides, and we would just eliminate that that right of way that's in that area. Item 6C is to hear public comments concerning the request of the city of Cleveland to make changes to Appendix C 2.2.3 conditional use to reduce a minimum square footage on the first unit for a multifamily structure and remove the 3-unit maximum. This is perfectly available for Robert to come up and explain that. But essentially is that we made some changes in this section, and this is to kind of help correct and make it work a little bit better. But when we get to the public hearing, he will go through all those details, unless you have questions now and he can answer them. Why don't you come up and just explain that?
Good afternoon. Yes, as Mr. Fabius was saying, this is a new zone we created several months ago. And then when we first started looking at implementing it in certain areas, we discovered that we had become a little bit too restrictive on the residential component possibility. This is for mixed use type structures on, it replaced what was the Inman Street East overlay. So this zone is used in more urban commercial corridors like Wildwood, Inman Street East, and it allows for mixed use development, commercial on the first floor, residential above it. The existing ordinance as approved only allowed up to 3 units, but that wasn't conducive. I mean, when you've got an acre of land, you can do more units going vertical, and that's what we're trying to encourage. So we actually, when we adopted it the first time, we didn't really see how it would build up, but that's something we want to fix immediately and come back to you all with. It's just allowing more residential units above commercial corridor, on those certain specific corridors.
Will that just be on Inman Street on what we're talking about? Or?
No, it'd be Inman, Wildwood / Dalton Pike. There's 1 or 2 others south Ocoee could be utilized. Those areas aren't zoned that now, but they can be. Right now, it's just Inman.
Any more questions for Robert?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Continuing on the consent agenda, we have a request that we had the last meeting that was approved unanimously by Sam Bruner for the annexation or for the passage of the zoning for 96.47 acres. Then we have item 7B, which is the final passage of zoning ordinance 2602 concerning the request by Kuroka on behalf of the Cleveland Church of the Evangelical Faith, which this was also approved at the last meeting by the council. Item C, which is ordinance 26-03, is a request from Bent Tree Development to consider to amend PUD 65. This is over off 20th Street. You guys had already voted, and basically you're eliminating townhomes and putting in single-family homes in this development. Item D is the final passage of ordinance 2604, amending the municipal code, Title 12, Chapter 1, Section 13-104-1 and 13-048, and adding a new section, 13-1110, for overgrown and dirty lots and dead and diseased and removed trees on the private property, and this was passed previously.
Joe,
Yes, sir.
I believe Councilman Goff had a question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, on this item, I just want to see if we pull it off for further discussion or potentially change to the wording, and before we re-vote on it,
Absolutely. On item D.
on item D.
Yeah.
D.
So we will delay that.
No, I think he wants to put it on new business. Do you want to
Yeah.
discuss it today?
Business, or do you want more time to discuss it?
I'm happy to discuss it today. We can see new business fine.
And doing
And,
city,
Yeah, that'd be the business item E, I guess. And, we add item F already, since it has to do with code enforcement. Regarding, the responsibility of car license plates on.
Absolutely.
Like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was adding two items, well, item E, that 7D becomes 10E, and then F would be talking about license plates on code enforcement.
Comes out.
Then you have item E, which is the zoning ordinance 2565 concerning request by Bill Sanders for the consideration of an ordinance of 8 acres or more, Pleasant Grove FAR to light industrial. This was already approved at the last meeting. Item F, final passage, zoning ordinance 2566 concerning request from Mr. Bill Sanders to rezone 32 acres, more or less, on Pleasant Grove Road from C2 to IL. That was already approved by the council 8-0. Then you have a motion, which is to authorize the mayor to sign a conflict or waiver form from Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. The story is that there is a development in the city that happens to use the same attorneys that we have. We've reviewed it with Mr. Kimball, and we don't see that it would cause a conflict between us and them. And essentially, basically, if there was I think it says if Mr. Kimball, if there was a dispute, they just wouldn't represent either of us. And that, but I don't think that would come to pass. Item H is a motion partnering with the 100 Black Men of Bradley County on an event to encourage healthy lifestyles at Greenway Park. Essentially, they're having a 5K race and having other type of healthy vendors. And they'd asked if we wanted to partner in that with them. And we don't have any financial investment in that, but we may have helped them with trash and some other stuff. But I think that this would allow that partnership to go forward. Item 10A, these are the public hearings that we discussed before by Steve and Linda Williams on, that's 2605. That was the public hearing. Then you have 10B, which is ordinance 2606, concerning request by multi-property owners for the consideration of abandoned right-of-way, and we discussed that at Parker over here. Then item C is the concerning request by the city of Cleveland for consideration of ordinance, and that's the one that Robert came up and talked to you about. And then I emailed you and presented you with item D, is that we've had some property owners approach us for property. The first property, which is 300 Broad Street, has been offered to the city. This is a 0.78 acres, and the property has Dye Creek goes through the middle of that. It's at the corner of Broad and 3rd Street. Essentially, the purchase contract that you have is $250,000, but there's a $45,000 credit back for a charitable contribution. Since Dye Creek goes through this, and there's a strategy on stormwater, is that stormwater funds would pay for this property purchase. And you have that in front of you. The second are two pieces of property that are next to each other at 501 Inman, and there's a picture of this in your packet. 501 Inman and 140 Harl Street. Essentially, it's the what we would call the pink building down on Inman Street. This had been a property that we'd been trying to acquire because it sits actually right over the stream over there. And when we had our conversations about the Army Corps projects, this is one that was highly discussed. This is another project that we would remove out of the stormwater and use stormwater funds to be able to purchase this. The county assessor has the properties combined listed at, so there's two properties, there's two different buildings on them, they're next to each other. The county assessor has them listed at $355. The price that the property owners gave us was $390. We do have an appraisal. It was probably, I think it was about 2 years old, and it was, I think, in the 340 range for that. Usually we don't go 10% over on these things. It's just kind of rule is that this is actually less than the 10%. They wanted to have an option for a lease at the end. Basically, they have a lease option for 2 years, and if we gave a year's notice, then we can get the property back. We don't have a use for the property right away. They have some storage in one of the buildings, and they had asked for us to be able to use that. So both of those are presented to you for your consideration at 3 o'clock.
Can we have those to the new business?
Yeah, they're on there on item D.
As separate or?
You would vote on each separate, but there's item D, but you would probably take 2 votes on those.
Any additional questions for Mr. Fivas? Thank you, Joe. That moves us to the portion of our agenda, reports of council members. Councilman Goff.
District 5 has survived the snow apocalypse, so we're good in District 5. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a couple of issues that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to also comment all of our city staff on how they performed. Although the weather was not as bad as potentially estimated to be, we did have some issues. And personally, I would like to thank Chad Dixon from the police department, Keith and Jason from Public Works, and CU personnel. I had an elderly neighbor that had a tree fall, fell across his driveway, out into the street, had the street blocked, tore his water line up completely when it fell. And those guys were out there 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, helping put things back together and cleaning the street up so that traffic could get through. And I wanted to thank those guys. And Joe, there's one other item that I had mentioned to you earlier that I'd like for us to investigate and see where we could move forward on it. And that was the shelters for the bus stops. We've talked about that in the past, and I've received a call last week from someone that was encouraging us to look at that. We have a transit system here in town, but they had witnessed several folks standing out in the weather waiting on one of the buses. And it was my understanding that there may be some grant funds available for that. And if that's just something we could look into, I would appreciate it.
You mind if I ask Robert a question?
No, sir.
We still have access to that bus shelter grant,
Yes,
so we have some federal transportation money.
we do, and I've been talking with Sether about the implementation of that.
That's good news. So if we could begin to move forward on that, I think it would be very much appreciated in the community.
One thing we want to do is just make sure the routes aren't going to change once we put them out. So we're going to do a little study first.
Okay. Councilman Moore,
No, sir.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Yes, Joe and Tommy, I noticed that there is a pretty good sized cut in the road in front of Bradley High School. It's had some gravel put in it, but that's coming out and it's a pretty hard hit if you don't know it's there and you go, I know with the weather being what it is, that could, hinder getting it fixed, but do you have any idea when that will be repaired?
Yeah, it might be a T-Dot thing.
So it's right in front of Bradley High School?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have someone go check it out.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Councilman Estes,
No, sir.
Councilman Casta.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I got one thing. I got a notice, a couple days ago about, Cleveland City Schools and the, Cleveland Police Department launched the Tennessee's first school bus stop, armed safety program with a, bus patrol. Could, Dr. Elliott, you're here. Can you speak about that? What's going on with that? We're the first in the state to do this. I want to commend you guys both
Sure.
for doing that, or Chief, or how this thing
Yeah, I
works.
appreciate Chief Gibson and working with us. We partnered along with him to make sure we have cameras on our buses and our bus arms so that when we come to a stop, if someone runs a stop, then we can be notified, and then we work with our police department and agencies to notify those individuals so that they will be receiving a ticket if they run that and are notified that way. So we're really hoping that'll cut down on people running our buses.
So it's a 30-day trial, is that right, Chief? It's a 30-day trial? on it?
It starts off with PR, push out to the community to
Okay.
make them aware of it. Because that's part of the educational process of it, and then it goes into a 30-day warning period, and then it goes into a period
Okay.
of citations.
Well, thank you guys both for working on that and keeping our kids safe and our bus stops and stuff. So I appreciate that for safety issues. So,
Councilman
Thank you.
Casta, I would like, so there was some issues with the district attorney. Have those legal issues been vetted and figured out?
Yeah, this is something that has been in discussion for quite a while, so it took us a while to get there, but we had to work through the court system and the district attorney's office to figure out the most judicial way to issue those out and make sure that we're following the requirements, and so we've got those worked out. And now we're just in that period for where we finally got to the point where we're making the public aware of it, so the whole purpose of that is to change the behavior and the culture and make people more aware of it for the safety, so we'll see how it goes.
I appreciate y'all working on that and getting that done and be a leader in our state too. So thank you both on that part.
So I do have a question. So, and those tickets those don't go to our city court. Those are actually state tickets that would be issued.
Yeah, there's a compliance. If you're issued a ticket, you can pay the ticket. If you do not pay the ticket, you'll go through general sessions court to follow up on that, so it doesn't go through city court.
The funds, where's the funds go? They go to state or they
They
stay
go
back?
back into the school system and into the
Program,
police
reinforce.
force.
Okay, to be able to grow the program.
Yes.
Thank you both. That's it.
Chief, I would just ask, is there any kind of reporting mechanism in place that you could kind of keep us informed as to the progress of that project and the number of tickets that are issued?
Yeah, there is. I don't know all the working details of it. And the company, we will have that.
Yeah, we'll receive a regular report monthly, I believe is what they have shared with us on how many tickets have been issued and then how many violations have occurred. So we can keep you guys updated on how that is going.
I just think it would be interesting to see over time how that reduces the number of violations. Thank you.
That's it, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman May?
Yeah, Joe, the cut on Mouse Creek, is it on schedule? Do we know about when the road will be open?
I have not had any updates. David, have you heard from them?
It is on schedule. Their 7-day closure was supposed to end today. I haven't been out there today to verify, but they did have success remediating the damage to the pipe on Friday. It was just a matter of the temperatures and being able to backfill appropriately to get the road back in shape.
David, have we talked to them about not just doing the patch over the cut, but maybe doing that? I mean, we had just put new asphalt down in that intersection.
They're gonna patch the cut, but they're also supposed to patch it 25 feet in each direction. in addition to that. And then I believe we have a resurfacing project coming around the heels of this project, so. That's pretty much standard practice to go 25 feet in each direction. Is that what you're inquiring about?
Yeah, and they will do flowable fill.
We couldn't use flowable fill, it's too cold. We had to use, compacted stone.
Okay.
It would have been, it has to be 50 degrees and rising. The flowable fill provider would not supply the material for flowable fill.
So we think that'll keep from having a dip in that cut. in the
Supposed to,
future.
we backfilled it per TDOT standards
Yeah. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Are there any announcements from the council or staff level? Hearing none, will be adjourned until 3 o'clock.